Welcome back, guys. Unknown003 here, coming at you with another Killing Racing character tutorial. So this time, we got ourselves the big bad boss of the game, Gargos. It's kind of funny, we go from last week, one of the most damaging characters in the game with Mira, and now we got one of the least damaging characters in the game. But just because he doesn't do as much damage doesn't mean he's bad. Because, man, does this dude have a ton of tools for you to use to make up for the lack of damage. But anyways, man, let's get to the gist of it. So, for one, he is definitely focused on zoning as well as like aerial mobility as well. And you kind of notice this when you consider this dude has 4 jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4. And yeah, this definitely makes the opponent kind of freak out when they're trying to figure out what side they need to block when you do ultimately decide to approach them, whether up close or from a distance, because there are a ton of things that this character can do, man. So yeah, so first we got the normals. You got the standard heavy punch here, which does stagger. Of course, you can combo off of it as per usual. The standard heavy kick, it doesn't really do a ton of damage, but it is pretty good for like anti-air stuff as well. If people are trying to cross you up and things like that, you could just press that and get a quick get away from me scenario. Pretty decent, as you can see. But yeah, anyways. So yeah, you got the medium, heavies. Doesn't really have like incredible range aside from the medium kick right here, as you can see. Sort of a Sparta kick. Crouching light, medium, heavy. Crouching heavy is probably a decent like range, as well as like decent for anti-airs as well. But yeah, a lot of the gist of it for him really just comes from his aerial stuff, as you can see here. But yeah, his crouching heavy kick. Look at the reach, dude. Although it's not like super damaging, that reach is insane. And his air heavy kick is no different. Yeah, but this one was nerfed to holy heck in terms of like the amount of damage it does. Just because of how good it is to have this kind of like get away from me scenario again. Because, yeah, man, it is insane the amount of reach this dude has. But anyways, that's basically the gist of his like normal stuff. Yeah, his like heavy punch here is kind of like interesting, just because it just swoops up for a moment. It does launch the opponent in the air, and you could do some like decent follow-ups as well if you do get to know the character enough and kind of just toy with him. But anyways, yeah, let's get into the special moves, man. So for one, you got down forward punch. You simply get this teleporting punch. The medium punch just tosses the opponent back if it does connect. The light punch just hits him from mid. But all of these track, which is kind of wild. And the heavy version is an overhead bounce. And you could combo off of this, sorta. As per SO. You know, it's pretty wild. Not really damaging, but you could follow it up with like some heavy wings, some lows, a standard normal into another like special move, or even this grab that I'll get into later. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it for that. And as for the linker, it looks like this. Shadow version just goes wild. And yeah, it's another thing because you can do it from a distance as well. And you could also continue a combo from the freaking distance, man. Look at that. Look at the amount of hits I just did. And yet it does only 30%. That is essentially the gist of Gargos, dude. does a ton of zoning, but not really a lot of damage, which of course would make sense, right? But yeah, aside from Gargos twitching here, that is the gist of that. Down back punch is going to be where a lot of the interesting gimmicks are going to kind of take place. So for one, it's a command grab. You could either choose to drop him immediately with down. You could choose to beat him up with punch or kick. But every move does do something kind of different. So as you can see, that's the light. That's what the light looks like. This is what the heavy version looks like. And yeah, like if you do take too long in trying to like complete a move aside from punch and kick, it does automatically default to just doing a teleport slam. Very nude Cybot looking, as you can see. But yeah, back is going to suck some of the shadow meter out of the character and into you, which is pretty cool. You know, it's good for, honestly, it's his closest thing to a battery ender and his arsenal. But yeah, forward is going to just toss the person in front. If you are close enough and you do the grab into the throw, you can follow up with a combo and just go to town. So there are a lot of things that you could do with this particular grab alone, and it continues on once you get once we get a little later into this part. So yeah, down forward kick is going to be his next special move. Yeah, so depending on what you press, it does do something a little different. So down forward light is kind of the standard lunge at the opponent. If they do block, you could choose to kind of like get back because you will be recovering in the air. So you could either choose to continue the attack, or you could choose to retreat and just continue to zone. But yeah, the medium is going to be sort of like the anti-air, and the heavy version is going to be an overhead, which it does take a bit of startup time to do, which is why it is pretty dangerous to actually commit to it. But when you do have like some of the other gimmicks that we'll be talking about later, you will be considered a lot more safer to do it. So yeah, and when you are in the air, it's pretty much the same thing, to where light just lunges, you know, forward, medium lunges like downward this time as opposed to upward, and the heavy version just lunges straight down. So you could do something like this right here, and then just go crazy. So yeah, that's the gist of it for that. And of course, you got the linker that pretty much looks like this. And if you do decide to end it, bam, wall splat, grab, go to town. Or you could do this into the heavy ender, wall splat, grab, bam, maximize the damage. Because good grief, I didn't even talk about the damage of this one, man. Yeah, so the ender itself, you could choose to end it with like another throw. You could choose to end it with, you know, like absorbing some of the meter. But if you do decide to do the shadow version of the grab, just look at the damage. Incredible. 50%. So honestly, that is definitely his most damaging ender in his arsenal. So yeah, you got things like that, man. It's pretty wild the amount of like diversity his movesets really have. But yeah, the last thing is gonna be his down back kick. He's doing some things right, not really anything going on. But once you decide to do a shadow version of it, then we got where most of the gimmicks are gonna be coming from as well. And yeah, you could summon up to 2 minions, and these guys are gonna, you know, defend for you, do whatever you want to do. You could choose to grab them if you want, which is hilarious. As you can see, you could yeet them right into the character. You could choose to lob them upwards. You could choose to absorb them for instinct meter, which is also very important. Or you could choose to do it upwards like that, where it does become an overhead. And you essentially get the opponent trapped in both sides. And yeah, it's pretty wild, man, the things you could do. But yeah, let's just show one in the meantime. If you see that the minion does glow purple, which he should do after the 3rd hit. Or the 4th hit, I think. Oh, there we go. Eventually. But yeah, once you see the opponent glowing like that, you could choose to press a down back kick. And they would essentially do their sort of like a mini special move. If you do down back light kick, it'll retreat the opponent or your minions and kind of just bring them to where you are. As you can see, the medium version will essentially just make them like get closer to the opponent and continue the aggression. As you can see, or yeah, again, you can press the light to kind of bring them back to you. And once they do glow up, you can press their special move. Bam. Not really too damaging as kind of expected, but again, that's where a lot of the gimmicks really come from. Bam, yeet them, just go to town. So yeah, that is essentially what the minions will do. If they do approach the opponent, they will attack automatically, which is another important thing to know. But yeah, man. So with that, that is essentially the gist of Gargos. I know that it is initially like super daunting to kind of figure out this character, but I promise you, like, when you do kind of learn the gist of what this character can do... Ah, I missed it. Once you essentially learn the character enough, he's going to be dangerous online. I mean, shoot, he already is. He's won previous EVOs, thanks to guys like Hollywood Sleep, for example. One of the best players in the world. And yeah, honestly, man, Gargos is definitely one of the many characters that is incredibly dangerous no matter where they are. But I'd say one of his biggest weaknesses is just the fact that he doesn't really have too many defensive options. But aside from having his instinct meter, which we will be discussing right now. So yeah, if his walk speed and movement wasn't slow enough, he can't even dash during this form, which is very, very unfortunate. But he will be able to absorb pretty much all the damage when he is in this form. As you can see, aside from like most heavy attacks as well, he would be able to absorb them. Yeah, and as you can see, he doesn't really care about getting hit. He'll just go to town. But if you do heavy hits on him, he will be considered vulnerable. So just definitely look out for that, if anything. And yeah, if you do ultimately like get hit in the middle of a combo, so let's go ahead and just have a random CPU show up. Look at that craziness. It's crazy, right? Like, just the amount of damage that he can take. He'll lose health over it, of course, but ultimately he is not going to be caring about getting hit. So yeah, that is basically the gist of it. And if you do get hit in the middle of a combo, for example, in this form, you could choose to press all three punches. Bam! Shoot that right out of you. It doesn't really do damage to the opponent, but if anything, it's more of like, think of Guilty Gear, where you just burst out and kind of just back them away from continuing a combo, for example. And you can pretty much do the same when they are pressuring you, and you're just trying to get like a get away from me option. But again, you can only really use that when you are in instinct. So, yeah, that is basically the gist of it for Gargos, guys. I know that it is, like, again, like, pretty daunting to learn everything that you can with this character. But he is definitely one of the most unique and, like, dangerous characters to use in the game. So, yeah, that's gonna do it for now, y'all. Tune in next week where we dive into General Rom, and our final guest character. But until then, guys, this is Unknown003 signing out. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I do appreciate it. And I'll catch you all later. Fight on, everyone.
Pathetic. Kneel to your god. Kneel to your god. Ready. Fight. Delicious. Triple.